Today, more than a dozen Ukrainian soldiers reported to an artillery school in southwest Germany to begin training on the Howitzer 2000. It is a great big gun that fires 155-millimeter rounds at targets that are up to 35 miles away. This marks the first time troops from Ukraine's armed forces have received this kind of instruction in Germany, and it comes less than a week after Germany announced it would send 7 of the self-propelled long-range artillery systems to Ukraine, which is a reversal of German policy of not sending heavy weaponry to war zones because of its Nazi history. The U.S. has sent Ukraine 90 of our own howitzer systems called M777 howitzers, along with about 184,000 artillery rounds, in addition to lots of other material. This is video of troops at an Air Reserve base in California loading up some of those howitzers for shipment last month. Last night, the House voted overwhelmingly to pass a bill that would provide another $40 billion of military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine, in addition to the nearly $14 billion that lawmakers approved in March. President Biden asked Congress to approve $33 billion, but lawmakers increased that funding. Now heads to the Senate, where Democratic leader Senator Schumer has pledged swift action to pass it, and that could happen as early as tomorrow. The Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, released this message thanking the United States. He said the funds would be, quote, used quickly and without any red tape to strengthen the defenses of Ukraine. And U.S. officials are keen to get aid to the country as soon as possible. Here's the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin at a House Appropriations Subcommittee meeting today.
Our most urgent goal continues to be sending the Ukrainians the capabilities they need most right now, as the war has shifted to the Donbass and to the south. The coming weeks will be critical for Ukraine.
Joining us now is the Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. He's a member of the Foreign Relations Committee. He's a part of a bipartisan delegation that traveled to Serbia last month to urge them to join Europe in imposing sanctions on Russia. He's just the lawmaker we want to hear about on this issue. So, Senator Murphy, thank you for being here tonight. And I want to get your take on this. You've been to Ukraine. You've visited with President Zelensky a few times now. You've got a real sense of him and the country and the way the war is going. Give me your 30,000-foot view to go alongside Defense Secretary Austin's that something about the next few weeks is going to be crucial for this war for Ukraine.
Yeah, I've probably been to Ukraine as many or more times than any other member of the Senate. Listen, we are all absolutely blown away by the capacity and the heroism of the Ukrainian people and their armed forces. But you are right. We are entering a really critical moment in this war. Ukraine has the opportunity to go on the offense in eastern Ukraine to deliver a pretty crippling blow to Russia. Russia is sort of looking at the end of this year, knowing that they are soon going to run out of money to continue to fight this war. They are going to start running out of defense material as our defense import sanctions start to take hold. And the next few weeks are critical because as Russia's sort of objectives start to become more limited, we have the opportunity to push them back on their heels, even as they seek to control only a portion of Ukraine, very different than their original goals to take over the entirety of the country. And listen, this matters because everybody's watching. The Chinese are watching. They have ambitions to invade Taiwan. And as they watch Russia fail, as they watch Russia pay this enormous price for their invasion of Ukraine, it resets their calculation about what they may do. And so we're trying to keep the post-World War II order vaguely intact, and the next few weeks will be critical to whether we succeed or fail in that mission.
You made an interesting point. I think in the last week, China has sent 48 aircraft into Taiwanese airspace. Joe Biden has actually made a commitment at some point that if Taiwan comes under some sort of attack, America will stand by it. But the American public is frustrated by war and participation in war. And the American public, like every public everywhere in the world, is frustrated by high gas prices. If, as the Director of National Intelligence said today, this could end up being a longer-term war than expected, isn't that advantage Russia? Doesn't that make it harder for America to convince allies around the world and the American people that whatever pain everybody's putting up with is going to go on longer?
Well, as Barack Obama once famously said, I'm not against all wars, I'm just against dumb wars. And the American public know dumb wars when they see them. They know wars of choice, like the war in Iraq. The American people support American engagement in Ukraine's war because they know Ukraine didn't ask for this war. This is fundamentally different than other engagements. And I think the American people do understand that this is a hinge moment in world history and America needs to be present. I take your caution, though, as this war drags on. There certainly is a potential that it fades from the news and the American public turn to other subjects. But as I stated earlier, really Russia has more to lose from a long war because these sanctions are crippling. They only have a certain amount of reserves. As Europe and the United States start to wean ourselves off of Russian oil and gas, they simply aren't going to have the money to pay for what they are trying to do in eastern Ukraine. So, yes, there's a risk that the world starts to lose focus, but there's a bigger risk that Russia's just going to run out of cash.